what's up, you guys? Thank you. Nice to see all of you. It's 2017 still. I hope you guys are off to a good year. I'm feeling good. Really enjoying working back and forth with you guys. So yeah, I was just jamming that ZZ Top song, which I put a lesson for at Marty Music this week. So I thought it would be a good one to open with. And some people were saying, "Oh, you got to get Billy Gibbons on your live stream. He's cool enough to do it." And yes, let's do that. Let's make that happen. Love Billy Gibbons, but what I was going to say is I met him before I played guitar. I met him when I was 8 years old. My dad owned this nightclub in Houston, Texas, and Billy Gibbons used to go there all the time. So my dad and Billy Gibbons became friends. This is in the like mid 1980s, and they became friends. And I was a fan, but I was just a kid. I didn't play guitar, but I got to hang out with him, and he gave me a ZZ keychain. He signed a album for me. He was super cool, asked me a bunch of questions. He was very, very cool dude. And then I had a guitar. I didn't play guitar, but I grabbed a guitar and I kind of strummed the open strings, you know, that I couldn't play at all. And he was like, "Oh, you got to work on that G chord a bit," which is, I thought, actually, now that I play guitar, it's pretty cool because the G chord is the D, G strings open. So he wasn't wrong. Right? So I thought we'd do kind of a blues workshop, almost like you guys, you guys are hanging out in a room with me, and you've got my full attention here to try and help you guys with maybe some jamming and some blues. Yeah, it was a great memory. Meeting Billy Gibbons was super, super cool. It was amazing. So the first thing, since everyone loves to solo, but really rhythm is key, and the better you get a rhythm guitar, the better your soloing will get. But I know that everyone likes soloing the most. Blues extended scale is pretty much what I was using on that. So I'm going to zoom in on the guitar real quick. That was in the key of G. I'll also play a little rhythm for you. Hope you guys have your guitars handy. You can let me know if you do have it handy or not. But anyway, I'm going to zoom in on the guitar real quick and just show you something about simplicity. Okay, so zoom in right there. All right, there we go. Not wearing a G string. Sorry to hear that. Okay, so in that extended scale of G, that's my root. That's the G note. So I had my classic pentatonic scale here. The extension of it goes from the 5th fret on the G string with my ring finger up to the 7th fret right there on the G string, right? I'm going to turn. They need to update this app that I'm using for the camera. Okay, someone's tuning up. Yeah, get your guitars in tune, because I need to get my live stream so I can see your names. I'm seeing your comments, but for whatever reason, this app is not showing your names. So I'm here. Here we go. Hello, James Smith. Okay, thanks, guys. Okay, I can see your names now. Okay, here we go. Nick Shepard wants a shout out. You just got one. There you go, buddy. Okay, so check this out. Here's what I want to talk about with simplicity, and then I'm going to use it as an example. So let's just get right into this part of the box, which would be box number 2. But let's just look at where the root is. I was talking about the key of G. So that's the root right there. Okay? And here's what we do. We have a whole set below our neck. Right? Then we just have the exact same thing on the high E. And the theme I'm working on right now is simplicity. We're going to talk about how to just keep things simple. Now, you don't have to be simple all the time, but you can build melodies and repeat ideas in a very simple way. Thank you, Philippe. And Stefan is in Germany. Hello, John Bennett again. Hey, what's up? So we have 6 and 8 on the B, 6 and 8 on the high E. Okay. Then middle finger on the 7th fret. And you know, with live streaming, a couple comments about being frozen, but not enough for me to know that it's on my side. So you just gotta refresh and try again. You know, the live stream can be touchy with the signal and everything. So here's what we're gonna do: middle finger, 7th fret on the G. So 7, 6, 8, 6, 8. Now the 8th fret of the high E, and this is going to be great if you're a beginner or advanced, because you can just work right here. It all fits perfectly. What's up, Joe? So even if you're a beginner, you could just work on 2 notes at a time. Okay. Now, a couple of things I want to point out if you're a little more advanced is you've got the blues note on this 8th fret of the high E. You've got the blues note a half step higher. So you can hammer on pull off with your pinky. You can bend it. You also have some quarter tone bends, which are right here. And then also right here. And what that means is you're not bending it enough to really change the note all the way, so it's not quite a half step. It's a slight move, just a slight quarter tone, and it's working really as a passing tone, kind of like the blues note, where you're anticipating it going to another note. So now what I'm going to do is just use that box for a second. I'm going to turn the volume down a little bit, but check it out. I'm going to just use that box with that jam track. Oh, it's not there. Ah, darn it. See, unperfect loop, which I usually edit out. So when people ask how can I get a loop better, sometimes you got to do it again. All right, there we go. So another thing you might be noticing is the repeating of ideas. Repeat things. Repeat the accidents. Repeat things that are going on. Find something that you like the sound of and repeat it. Create a little idea. So choke up on your pick, hey, I'm back. So you can choke up on your pick. If you see the way I'm holding the pick out like that. If you just choke it up and get the skin finger as you pick. I find it works better on the thicker string, so like the G string. So I'm choking way up on the pick. So I'm kind of using, it's like almost like the nail of my index finger, the skin of my thumb is digging in with the pick at the same time. And as far as everyone feels stale about their licks, so you just got to keep learning new licks. And there's never been a time in the universe been more info out there for you to get new ideas. But as far as today, playing around with the scale and repeating ideas. Another thing you can do is if you're getting sick of your licks, try to solo on one string, or try to solo in a position of the pentatonic that you use the least. For instance, the box in G here, where you've got, I think we'd call it box number 5. That's the root right there. And you'd have this. And so if you use a different position, sometimes you'll find that that you get new ideas, or just a different way to look at it. An exercise where I see Willie McGee. I saw my really good friend Willie McGee. If I did see you there, love you, Willie. Hope you're doing well. Happy New Year, Willie. I played in bands with Willie and all kinds of adventures with that guy. Okay, so soloing on one string, the G minor pentatonic on one string. Man, okay, that's something. Open G string, 3, 5, 7, 10, 12, 15, 17, whole step, and then another minor third. Yeah, you're not digging the... Well, the sound can be wishy-washy, iffy on the mic. Okay, hold on one sec. Yo! So, I don't know if that's going to make the sound any better. I'm using the same sound that I did last week, and last week was the best sound by far. I don't know. The only thing is I'm using this little preamp that has a battery in it. The battery could be starting to go. Okay. G minor pentatonic on one string. You guys still hear me? You still with me? You still with me? You still with me? Oh, much better. Okay. All right. Here we go. Yeah, that was all on one string. Oops. No cameraman today. So yeah, so that was all on one string, but that's just one of a million examples of just ways to break out of the rut, you know? Learn a new song. You know, another thing about it is you can just take a few days off and then it comes back and it starts to feel a little bit fresh again. I think any profession or art form or anything for that matter, everyone goes through that same kind of, why so many angry? It's okay. No problem. We're all here. Anyone can do whatever they want. Okay, so now I want to talk about a rhythm concept. It's pretty simple, and I'm going to stay in the key of G just since we've already been in the key of G. I want to show you something that you can do. So first, you'll be able to see me live do a 12-bar blues loop. So I'm going to use my Boss looper. I'm going to just loop a 12-bar blues, and then I'll have that, and then I'm going to show you an alternate guitar part that's going to be really simple, but just something that I think you'll really enjoy. Yeah, we're chilling. I'm going to give some shout-outs here in like 10 minutes. Doug, what's up, dude? Nice to see you. Look at that pedal pile by the acoustic. Yes, there's a Christmas tree of pedals over there I've been making gear videos on. Sitting on top of a Mac that's not working. Okay, so 12-bar blues. You know, I like to feel the rhythm first before I click the loop on. Here we go. So I can already hear I sped up near the second half of that loop, but that's okay, it's going to work. So, zoom in here again on the guitar. So here's what we're going to do. If you've ever seen a C major chord, right? 3, 2, open G, first on the B. Classic C chord, right? We take our pinky and we're going to dig it down here, dig it, baby, on the G string, 3rd fret. So we call that C7. Now it's a movable chord because I'm not really, my hand's muting the high E. I'm not going for the low E either, so everything I got is movable. So I can use this one shape now to play an alternate rhythm over that 12-bar blues. And all I have to do is follow the root on my ring finger right here. Ring finger's on the A string root, and this is a C7 shape. So I recorded a 12-bar blues in the key of G. So the G note is the 10th fret of the A string, so I just play that same C7 shape, and now I'm using the C7 form to play a G7. So this is a G7 chord now. And you could also look at it this way. I take that C7, and I could just count it up the alphabet to see how it changed. C7, up a whole step to D7, up a whole step, and now it's E7. E to F in music is always a half step. So I can move that up a half step, and now it's F7, which we're not using in this, but I'm just showing it to you. And I move it up another whole step, and it becomes G7. So it's a movable chord. If I moved it up a half step, it'd be G sharp 7. I move it up another half step, it's A7. A sharp 7, B7, right? So wherever the root is on the A string, I play that shape, it's a 7 chord. So let's go over that loop I made. It would be a C7 shape here with the ring finger on the 10th fret. So that's a G7 chord. Then when it goes and changes, it goes to the 4 chord, which is a C7. The very first one I showed you. So it's going to go to that. Then it's going to go back to the G. And then finally the turnaround is D7. So it would be root on the 5th fret. So you have 3 chords in the progression, all using the same shape. The root would be the 10th fret, the 3rd fret, and the 5th fret. So watch as I play it over the loop. And yeah, you can, this is a great shape for finger picking. But anyway, over the loop, G7, G7, now C7, back to G7, D7, C7, and G7. So someone, I saw a comment where said, well, that's a lot of, seems like a lot of bouncing around on the neck. It is, but you learn some other shapes to go along with it. Then now you're having options, right? I don't tend to maybe use the same voicing for all the chords. So what you can do is you can play, for instance, like the E shape for a dominant 7 chord. So you just, it looks like a regular bar chord, right? Take your pinky off, or add your pinky up here, and now you have another way to play the same kind of 7 chord. So G7 would actually be here because the roots are on the E string now. G, G7, C, C7, D, D7. And if I know that, G7 right here. Then C7, then G7, then D7, then C7, G7, then G7, then D. If I combine them together, G7 with the C7 shape. Then, look, I didn't move. Playing the C7 with the E root. Now back to the G7, then the D7. So you can learn these are all called dominant 7 chords. You can learn them, and the more voicings you learn, you can start to improvise actually your rhythm. But just to recap, what we were talking about is just the C7 shape for a blues chord, and the root's on the A string. So any bluesy chord like D7, I can find the D note on the A string and play that C7 shape. And so now that's a D7 chord. And it should match right up with the first D7 everyone learns, this one. They're the same chord, it's the same notes, but a different voicing of the same notes, meaning the notes are stacked in a different way, but it's still the same notes. Now check it out. Someone's saying the 9 chord would make that super sweet. Bob, yes, Bob. Bob Agan, or Agan, Bob, you're a great supporter. Thank you so much. Now check this out. You brought up the 9 chord, and this is the last piece of info because I don't want to blow your brain up. But you take that C7 chord right there. That's the 1. Right, so that's a C7, a C7 shape. The note's right there, which is a D note, so that's a D7 chord. Now someone said D9. Well, they're totally interchangeable. So they both cover the same thing. They're just substitutions of each other. So when you say substitution, that means either one works for the same purpose, right? So if that, D9 looks like this. Getting out of tune. Oh, the bending. But so you have a D9 like this. Right? They're interchangeable. You also have this D major bar chord. And if you do this voicing, that's another way to play D7. That's the A7 shape. So now you have all 3. Check it out. D7, D9, D7. And so you hear movement now over a D7 kind of thing. So if I did something like this, you can do this one. So imagine what happens when you go to the 4 chord, G. Yeah. So anyway, that's the blues class today. Is thinking about how to expand off of one idea. So now when I think of D7, I don't think of that. When I think of D7, I think of
close to nothing.